Hi, it's Peter with Mobb Guppy, where the Guppy is the mob. Happy Saturday to you, and especially you. A couple of notes here, gang. John Oliver, first in the house. Um, yeah, spent my entire morning going shopping, groceries and junk. Here with Bolo, you can see his foot right there. He's laying upside down. He's happy. Gonna do some exciting water changes. It's all good. Chattanooga Ed in the house. It's yeah, it's Saturday I got a lot of stuff done. Yesterday was payday, so I had to get a lot of grocery shopping done. My mortgage went up, which because of property taxes, not a lot, like $17 a month, but still. You just place an order from Thailand for 30 discus and a few flower horns. Wow. Now, in beautiful Hot Springs, Arkansas, John, is your water like the city of Little Rock, where it's very low pH? In Little Rock, I think mine averaged out at 5.7 out of the tap. Mike's Aquatics and Things. Did I say hi to you? If you're here, say hi. I want to say hi back. Not that big of a channel. Not that important. To not say goodbye, say hello to you. David Samsel, how you doing? It's a beautiful day here in Joplin, Mo. We don't have snow. We just have sunny weather, mid 60s today. Oh, you have well water that runs between 7 and 7.5. Okay, yeah, it's nice for guppies. Really good. Your well water is about 7.5. Mine out of the tap is about a 7.5 here. I think it's you may find this crazy, but I'm not. Some people are really about doing their water tests. I'm not. I do it if you. All of a sudden, if I think aquarium is not doing well, I'll do some looking. Other than that, I don't do a lot. Although if it rains, your pH will go down below 7 for a few days. There you go. Chattanooga Ed's tap is 7.5, 7 1/3. It's general hardness 8, KH 5 from your well. There you go. Well water, from where I'm at, is probably not a good idea. And I will tell you why. Is because this area that I live in was a mining town back in the olden days. Those mining days are well behind. And it was for two things, primarily two things: zinc and lead. So the well water could be a little leady. So that's not good. Alishan, what's up? 7-ish. I think our buddy Doug Gray. I wonder if he's gotten his notification. Did you guys get notifications or just remembered, it's Mobb Guppy time? I'm reasonably consistent. I don't have much going on other than, Cooper Aquatics. Okay, I'll send a note off to our buddy. If he isn't here in a couple of minutes, I'll send a nice note off. You did? Okay, you got the notifications. That's good. Well, hopefully, our good friends at YouTuber getting better at that. The man who compared modern day society to like finding a jet plane in King Tut's tomb, Peter Thiel. That's amazing, by the way. They found a jet plane in there. It was just awesome. If you don't know what that is, that comes from Ancient Aliens. Doug and I both like these weird, non-scientific, aka scientific shows, and we'll text each other back. I'm awake early every day. Doug's texting me. What time did you text me first? Let me look at this. I think you texted me like at about 5 o'clock my time or 5:30 my time. I was wide awake. I already was into my coffee, had walked the dog. Life was good. Let's see. What time did Doug send that first text? I'm looking. Let's see here. I'm going back. We sent a lot of texts back and forth. 5:59 this morning. It was my time, so it's almost 7 o'clock his time. So that's okay. And so that's that's a lot of fun. You wake up around 6 Philly time. The dog woke me up for a walk at 3 a.m. So I had a headache, so I took a couple of and I take Zyrtec for allergies. Popped one of those, popped a couple of Tylenol, went back to bed, and about 5 a.m. he woke me up, and I go, okay, that isn't bad. I'll just go from there. You try not to bother anyone before 7 a.m. Eastern time. Usually, Edgar Reyes, how are you? Usually, I'm awake. The latest I had slept in, even on my vacation, was like 7 o'clock Central. So, and I put my phone on airplane mode. People at the office know if they need to call me, they call my phone. It rings my home. All good in the hood. Sorry for coughing. It's I haven't eaten lunch yet. After we have our discussion today, I'll have some lunch. I don't know what I'm going to have yet. How many days did I go into work on my vacation? First vacation of last year, I took like about a 4-day weekend or 5-day weekend because of the holidays. I went in once. And the second time I went in like twice. Yeah, I go into work. No, I just stopped in. I didn't like sit down and work for an hour or two. You had cheeseburgers for lunch today. There you go. Hey Renee, how are you? I have some I don't know what I'm gonna throw in the nuker for me. Haven't quite figured it out. I'm hopeless. I didn't even call in for messages on your vacation day. Yeah, I know. It's trust me. And I can log in. A lot of employers have this now, but I can log into my office computer like that. So that's nice. That's nice all the way around. So I went and I did, just normal stuff today. Ordered some baby brine shrimp eggs, some from American Brine Shrimp. I ordered that yesterday, and I have enough to last me for another couple of weeks, so they'll be here well and ahead of time. My power company, by the way, is really screwy. So I get my power bill The previous power bill I got from for like December, uh, I was at home for about actually all my vacation was during that time, and it got kind of cold, so the heat was on all day. Uh, it but my January bill went from like 200 down to 80, realizing that we had tundra stuff and the heat was running basically 24 hours a day for a week. I'm gonna have to go and uh, yes, I have duckweed. Yes, I have duckweed. Reach out to me, Renee, and we'll set up a shipment thing. I'll ship you some duckweed. I've got plenty of duckweed. Plenty of it. I will tell you, last week I was going through on a duckweed murdering spree, and I loaded up so much duckweed that I think I could have sold it as marijuana. Just scrunch it together like that and sit on the corner and meet people who are all methed out. And it's got that fishy smell, so it's kind of funky, and just say it's Guppy Gold. Color Guppies, what's up? Guppy Gold. That's a good name for illegal weed. So yeah, so I've got to do some water changes today, do some stuff around there, normal fish room type stuff. Normal room type stuff all the way around. What are you guys doing? What do you guys have going on in your fish room this weekend? By the way, Doug put out a video with a strain that he's developed on his own. Kind of cool. He wants to spread it around, so take a look at his last video that came out. It's kind of neat. I've got the thing I have on my job besides normal fish room maintenance stuff this weekend is I've got to sort of get my taxes in order. Except I called the accountant yesterday. He can't see me till like for another 3 weeks. So you know what that means? That means I'll put it off till like the Sunday before. Just about done. Water changes all 20 of your tanks. Great. So water changes next week for me. I'm waiting plants that should be delivered soon. Had to tear down one of my tubs earlier this week. Some Panaplesil fell in it, and a windstorm. It nearly killed most of your shrimp. They killed most of your shrimp. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, taxes are tricky stuff. It's so I have a good accountant, so we'll just go from there. Dr. Bressler Biofish, and you're gonna be dealing with that. That's cool, John. You got Dropsy. That's sad for your goldfish. I was in communication with a guy this week who would and again, diseases in your aquariums. I was in communication with a guy who's really good. He knows what he's doing with his fish. He lost like 20 tanks because no matter how good you do things, is that once a disease starts going through your aquariums, it can be real tough to stop. What does an Italian have when one arm is shorter than the other? A speech impediment. Yeah, it's another Subaru style joke. Yeah, I've not worked with Dr. Bachelor food before, so I've not used it. I've been buying my food lately from either Ken's Fish, American brine shrimp, Doug Gray, and one of these other places I've got Fancy Tail Guppies. I've gotten food from him. It's all good. You have excited for more Guppy babies in the coming weeks. I had the poor man BBS microworms. If you use one of the granulated Dr. B foods, you forget which one. I just feed it to cichlids, not to guppies. Okay. There's nothing black or white with fish, only gray, Doug Gray. That's right. Dr. Bassler is amazing. Is an actual fish doctor, training people all around the world. Excellent. I'm having improved fried protein with a combo of Doug's High Protein, kind of roasting a mixture of Sarah Micron and freeze-dried Cyclops. Good for you. What do you call an Italian with no arms? A mute. It's true. The Italians will wave their hands pretty good. Petroman, 185. How are you doing? Yeah, color guppies, I basically do the same thing. Like my first feeding today, uh, because of my work schedule, how it works is that I feed usually at my lunch break around 10 a.m. And then I feed when I get home at about 2. And then I feed, sometimes I'll feed around 3:34, and then I'll do live brine shrimp at about 6 p.m. So there you go. My what else is going on? I know I've just been so work has been so nutty busy. I swear to you, every week this year has been crazy. It's which is good, but it's also like it's it's nuts. So my accountant last year told me to make an LLC, so I did that last year, and so I'll go and see him and get my taxes done in the end. Bolo's good. He's right here with me. He's sleeping away. The weather's nice. He went for a long walk this morning. I had to turn him around and come on back in because Bolo, when he was a younger dog, he moved pretty good, and so he will go and he'll move around pretty well when he was younger. Now it's a little slow. So if he wants to go for a long walk, you're going to be out there for an hour. And I didn't want to do that this morning. This afternoon, I'll take him out, and maybe he'll go for a long one after we're done with the live stream. It has to be 64 degrees here. Less than 2 weeks ago, it was 15 below zero. So it's I'm going to share, by the way, a pet peeve. So, how many of you get your gas at either Costco or Sam's Club or BJ's Wholesale Club? If you get your gas there, it's always busy. So there's a line. So I pull in this morning and the car, I eat oatmeal. My snow is gone, completely gone. Yeah, my accountant said for me that it was just tax advantage stuff for me. And my guess would be the same thing, John, is to upgrade to an LLC. But again, I'm not a tax professional, but you sell a lot more fish than I do. So you may, and by the way, it can cover you, it can protect you if something goes bad. Fantastic fish friends. How are you? Vinoxky tags, VB20. Say hi, VB23. I know I've talked to you. You know, yeah, I eat oatmeal every day. Yeah, I eat the same thing as microworms. That's true. Do you know, though, we get very little of gas. Our When you pump a gallon of gas, very little of it comes from Saudi Arabia. It's really small. It's the main most of the gas and oil that we get in the United States is from Canada, Alaska, from the United States, Mexico. To the lesser part, and much lesser is and much less of stuff has to do with um, Venezuela, much less. So there you go. LLC protects you or business from being sued for something to do with the business. It's the only tax tip I'm giving as an ex IRS worker for 30 years. Yes, Alaska is part of the United States. You're right, but it's not in the lower 48. It's not in the lower 48 all the way around. Gas prices are going up for many reasons, and a lot of it's geopolitical. It's and the severe weather stuff that we've had has not been all that helpful. Yep, Doug Gray, you're right. DBA, the individual can be sued. Retired CB. Once the money circulates, then there can be inflation. Yeah, is Tennessee in the United States? John, MFT, my fish tanks. Georgia Fish Fam or Go Fish Fam. Scott's Aquatics. My brother-in-law went to the Naval Academy. He went though to the Marine Corps. Served his time in the Corps for 21 years. At this point, I wish it wasn't. When I was a kid, by the way, I had we had an Uncle Gilbert. He was a World War One vet. VB23, youngest in the room, probably, unless Guppy Boy shows up. If Jesus shows up, he'll be the youngest. And he would stay with us during Christmas and Thanksgiving. We lived in Minneapolis. He would fly up from Milwaukee. Finney is 17. Loves Fish Fam because you can learn from older folks. Now, it's not necessary. By the way, there's a lot of people that are in their like teens. I was at my fish club meeting, had a deal, and one of the guys there, I think, was like 19, and he was like the king of aquatic aquariums. And he was going through, we were talking about planning aquariums, and this guy knew much more than I did. I learned from him in the process. I think actually everybody in the room, a really good experienced people in this fish room. So again, it doesn't matter age, really. You can learn everything. Oh, they're having a fish swap in Dallas today. I wish I would have known that. I would have gone and done that. Uh, the Northwest Arkansas Aquarium Society, they're looking for one for May. I was asked today by our buddy Michael Hollingsworth, John, if I'd be game to be there, and I said, "Oh yeah, let me know where and when. I'll be there. I'll reschedule. If I have something on the schedule, I'll reschedule." Yeah, I didn't know that. If I knew there was a fish swap in Dallas, I would have driven down to it. But do they have power yet? Yeah. A BB-23. My small tanks, my 10-gallon tanks, I usually swap out about half. I bet you did, John. It's good stuff. Doug Ray does 40%. Now my bigger tanks, I usually just do. I have a couple of bigger tanks. I usually do about 20%. Well, here's what I'm going to give you 80% from David Samsel. Here's what I do, gang. And here's how I keep the temp somewhat organized. I have a couple of 45-gallon garbage pails, plastic ones. No, I got them at not Sam's Club, Home Depot or Lowe's for like $20 each, $25 each. I fill them up with water, put the treatment in there, allow them to get to room temperature. And so a fish swap in Cincinnati. How far is Cincinnati from me? It's probably too far, but let me take a look. Cincinnati, Ohio. Their slogan is "We're not the mistake by the lake. We're more like Kentucky." Ooh, sunny and 57 in Cincinnati right now, everybody. How far is it? Just a little too far for me to do this. Just a little too far. If it was like 8 hours, I'd really consider it. Hey, Luca, how are you? It's you change your freshwater tanks only when they test high. Um, I'll give you sort of my thing about water changes and why I try to do them weekly. And I think everybody, I think everybody, if you have a job and you're busy and you have things going on, family stuff, all that sort of stuff. Sometimes it's tough to get it done weekly. Sometimes I'll go a week and a half. But the important thing of doing them is that it removes dirt from the aquarium. It also, with baby guppies, it inspires growth. And when you have growth with your fish, that's the most important thing. And for your baby guppies, you want as much growth as possible. I am good, Luca. Busy, just been busier than heck. This afternoon, I've got to do the water changes. I've got the weather is so nice outside. I may have to go. I like taking photography of nature. I may have to go out and do some photography today. My finger has healed thanks to antibiotics. This is the one right here, and I'm not holding it up by itself because I don't want to cuss at you. It's a family show. 18 here, 8 likes. Thank you, gang. 19 here. Really good. So yeah, my hand is healed on its own. I didn't have the surgery. Feel very happy about that. I could be a hand model. They're good looking hands, aren't they? Except here's the problem. Is it which hand is one of these hands has a scar on it. I can't really let's see here. Oh yeah, here it is. If you notice right here, big scar, big scar. And I did that through a mistaken carrot cutting accident. I was juicing for a while. Have any of you done like vegetable juice? And I was cutting up carrots, and I was cutting up. It was like an older one, didn't have the big hole the current ones do, and yeah, it was a bad thing. Scars, yeah, just make you look like a man. That's true, but for a hand model, they don't want that. They want, they want scar free. Hey, post disabled keeper of the fish. Great having you here, my friend. You cut carrots every day for your salad. Yeah, I like doing the. I do not have a vegetable juicer right now, and I probably need to get one. I like them. I like them a whole lot, and I'm very much in favor. Tons of management. We're actually selecting our guppies to be less tolerant and more fragile. There's probably something to do with that, Renee. There's some truth to that. I'm not going to argue with you. And I think that's a problem that we all have, and we have to be careful in our hobby. I have to get, I have a lot of junk to do around the house. I don't know about you guys. It's just the fish it's ironically the most important thing for me to get done around the house. Laundry and fish and dishes. I do the dishes. Pretty good at it. Because if I run out of dishes, I can't eat. Big thumbs up there. Um, the other thing about this is that if you have an aquarium, you're concerned about water consumption. Renee, I'll tell you what. I my 245-gallon tubs, which I empty out about every week and a half or so, uh, That's like one average shower. A 45 gallons of water for a shower is pretty average. So, and I know you're in California where, water usage is a big deal. P, let it be. Brown, flush it down. My brother lives in LA, so I've got that down. Where's our buddy Anthony today? He must really be busy with the pole dancing. Yeah, that's what paper plates are for. It's true. One of the other things is that now that I'm single again, when I was single the first time around, I Fantastic Friends, no, no. Do you recommend to introduce a wild strain DNA to bolster genetics? No. Uh, you get good genetics by if you're breeding a line of guppies, you separate and create a couple of an A line and a B line. So it's and you cross them back and forth, every 3 to 5 generations. That's it. You've been watching your colony guppies. The females are very choosy in which males they hook up with. Speaking of music, I believe Bob Kaler won't be here because he has an Elden impersonation gig for a wedding. And I'll tell you what, it's and Doug Gray, you can speak to this a little bit better than me. Um, some lines of guppies, you have to be very careful about continued line breeding, and some you don't. There are people that go and they do whatever they can to have as close to a straight outcross as they can. Goliad Farm says using older breeders seems to increase lifespan. I can't speak yes or no to that. I have not noticed a difference. I have not noticed a difference at all. Older breeders are not good to use. And Doug, why is that? Genetics get sketchy and generations are weaker and weaker. Now, I've read stuff about people with and John Oliver agrees with Doug, is that if you go and you breed, uh, you go through and you do the breeding. It just depends. I read an article in IFGA about a guy, one of the breeders that's really big with the half black yellows, which are striking, and maybe that'll be a strain I do someday. And with the half black yellows, he was talking about he had one male that he had used on 3 generations of female fish. That's very rare. Normally, normally they, they'll say goodbye and go to the great Guppy farm in the sky. But 3 generations and the fish was over a year and a half of age, and so that was kind of the deal. Half black yellows were the first fancy guppy you worked with as a kid. Half black yellows are really popular in IFGA shows. Real big, like Reds are and stuff like that. I tend to think the older females cause more of an issue than older males bred to younger females. I'm seeing it with my old albino Corey's colony. Maybe 10 eggs out of 100 hatch, and at that they are weak. New England Endler, how are you? I myself don't care where the fish come from. I just want healthy fish. Too many guppies in a tank are called sardines. Renee, are you still talking fish? Bob Larson had nice half black yellows. Does he still show Doug? I don't think he does, but Doug will know. So he shows blacks, some half black pastels. Okay. Now, my great grandfather, who was born in 1874, he his father was 57 when he was born. Second family. A pair of young red dragons that I'm waiting for to grow up and to breed. Yeah, there you go. Fantastic fish friends. There's people on here like Doug Gray, like John Oliver and I, and other folks on here who breed guppies who do really well. The other place, if you want to put your hands on them and see them, find a fish club in your neighborhood and reach out to them in your area close to you. Reach out to them and say, "Hey, who breeds guppies?" And you can probably go out and see the guppies at that person's setup and get them. I sell guppies on Aquabid, on I sell them on Get Gills. I sell them on eBay occasionally. Pairs of his albino reds went for over $100 at a Guppy Group auction a few years ago. Wow. Your first car was a 72 Mercury Marquis with a 460. Hey, by the way, who had a first car being a Subaru? Asking for a friend. Love my muck guppies are actually some of my favorite fish to work with. I'm waiting for muck guppies to become rare. Well, you'll be waiting. No one was here was that dumb to own a Subaru. What's the worst car to own? A Pontiac Aztec or a Subaru? Created your mutts intentionally? Yep. There you go. Oh, my computer wants to be plugged in. Subaru, even worse than a Pontiac Aztec. 1969 GTO back in 1978, and you went into the Navy. Yeah, it's too bad you didn't put that into storage for a few years. I'll occasionally watch the car auctions, the Meekum car auctions. Pretty fun to see those cars. Pretty fun. Yeah, well, creating your own line. The beauty of Guppies is that you can play around with uh, with your own line of fish and go through it. Like Doug has been on his channel, has been giving several generations of a fish that he's developed and grown with. It's been fun. One of my high school friends had a Ford Country Squire with the wood paneling. Yeah, it was crazy. You have a tank of plants. It was for my betta tank, but the betta died. I'm sorry. My wife had a Mercure for years ago, real POS. Her dad bought it for her. I worked with a woman years ago who had this old car that she just kept repairing, and like every month's like $800 to repair. And she had a problem getting rid of it because her father died. It was murdered, which is awful. And and it's and she just felt guilty because that was a gift to her from her dad like a month before he was killed. So, ooh, a pair of beta macrostomas. Very good. I've looked at those. I have looked at those. Yeah, it's the old Chevelles were nice. Yeah. My by the way, I've been thinking about this is the sad thing about your having an old dog with a health condition. Post doesn't matter if you love it. That's all you go through. Bucket list fish are German blue or electric blue rams. Those are beautiful fish, Renee. Ooh, um, that's fantastic fish, friends. That's a question that is tough to go through. Now, a line should be that they breed true, that you always get the same fish that look very similar generation after generation after generation. Now, here is what, and Doug Gray, correct me on this, John Oliver, you guys work with Asian strains. Um, is that you go, if you look at this, is that sometimes people will get identical looking fish by just doing a cross, and they'll sell them off, that it's a special line, but they don't breed true once it gets into second and third generation. It's some, and it also depends what you're after. You did it with your black lace snakeskins in 3 generations. So that's essentially Doug Gray had like a really things that worked well together, etc. And that was what a year and a half, 2 years, Doug. And Doug Gray does a lot of crosses. If you look at his channel, he does a lot of crosses, and some of them are just weird and clinkers. I'm working on 2 lines right now, and it's fun, but I'm not there where I need them to be yet. They don't breed true, and they're just not there yet. So about 2 year and a half, 2 years, Doug Gray. So it's a real effort. If you want to develop your own line, by the way, it's like a dream and a half for a guppy keeper. It really is. But also keeping a pure line and making it better, that's also intriguing for a lot of people, because if you all of a sudden go in and you have red guppies, and all of a sudden you're getting red guppies that are more brilliantly in color, that have long dorsals, have the right type of tail. I mean, it's an accomplishment to improve upon whatever there. If it's I grew up around show dogs, and you can sit there and say, okay, well, they're whatever breed of dog it is. It could be Pomeranian, like this guy here. It could be a Brittany was the dog I grew up with, or a Schnauzer, or a Rottweiler, or whatever it is. And the idea of going out and breeding one that's perfect is a real challenge, because nothing ever is. There's not a perfect fish. But it's also for your personal enjoyment, and whatever your personal enjoyment is, follow it through. I do think, my opinion on creating your own on your own uh, strain is, I personally think you have to have an end game. This is what I'm after. So my crosses, I'm both trying to get into. They're with swordtails, and I'm trying to get swords that work with the colors that they were with. And so far, guess what? Isn't happening yet. And I'm a few generations in. I'm getting some real striking looking fish, but there you go. Renee, it's a lot of people love doing that, by the way. It's working with crosses and playing with it. It's a lot of fun. Lots of fun. Yeah, Rotties are good dogs. I have a buddy of mine who has them, and good, friendly dogs that'll keep track of the fam. Keep track of the fam. So there you go. My son bought a wrecked newer Shelby for $500 just for the Shelby chip. It's there for 2 years before Wolfingers went out of business. Great old school fish store, metal frames, tanks in a maze. The owner did not answer customers' questions and bailed. Dope. Yeah, and fantastic. That's what I do. I have a couple of the crosses, but I have, pure strays I'm working with, and I love them. Absolutely love them. Really enjoy them. I think my new mutt will be a great service dog. She's the smartest you've had so far. Excellent. Now, for dogs, this is a little bit different than fish, but I'll give you sort of sort of the deal. It's I'm not talking down mutts or shelter pets. They're beautiful, wonderful, lovely things. Okay. But if you are seeking a dog to do a certain type of activity, let's say guard the family, uh, is that uh, is that or to go hunting? My dad loved to go hunting for quail and pheasant and grouse, game birds that were not in the water. And we had Brittany's because they point and they do that. Now, would a Mutsky from the pound do that? Could, maybe, maybe not. These things were they were machines. It was just a natural thing that was purposefully bred into them. And so it's we were there was a fundraiser for a local organization here that does a lot of stuff by setting up dogs for disabled veterans, which is kind of a neat deal. And I heard the guy talking, and one of the veterinarians talking about, they were asking, well, do you work with shelter dogs? He goes, no, mainly because you don't know their temperament, is that they work with certain breeds of purposefully bred dogs, and like labs and golden retrievers, and some of them Dobermans and Rotties, some of them, and because they are dogs that understand their purpose, and it's bred into them generation after generation to behave a certain way, and that's part of the deal. You're not a real fan of the black phantoms? You have? Not a bad fish. I don't have a Tetra tank at the moment. I like those. I don't have an issue with those at all. In my big tank, when I go to the next fish swap I go to, they're black phantom. Someone's bred in their home. I'll get them in 2 seconds. I think they're nice, but but if you don't like them, that's fine. Again, it's what appeals to people. Some people think it's guppies. It's nuts. Yeah, it's the one of my first fish was what they call a gold tetra, which I cannot does not breed gold in captivity. It breeds silver, but it's a nifty little fish, real hardy. It's and I like them a whole lot. You're getting some weirder Santa Claus guppies. They're beautiful fish, absolutely beautiful. Big school of cardinals. Yeah, no, that's neat. And you know what you can keep with cardinals? Also dealing with your South American type thing, discus. I saw an unbelievable aquarium, and oh, you like them, but they're feisty. Yeah, Posiwi, how many do you have in your aquarium? Do you have like 4 or 5, or do you have like over a 10? Some of these schooling tetras, by the way, don't do really well. They're very finicky, Renee. Very finicky. Um, some of these schooling tetras do not do well unless you have a dozen of them in there. That's something just to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind at all. All right, gang, we've been around for an hour. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you Monday night. And 45 gallon, and you had way over 10 and just had 2 females drop. Yeah, I don't know. That's yes. Gold tetras are the same as a brass tetra. Exactly correct. Sometimes called a Dawn tetra as well, depending on the branding. See you later, gang.